Welcome to Quick Shot, the video game fact show for you to watch whilst you wait for Konami to revive their dead IPs. I sure do miss Hudson Soft. They used to make some incredible games, the most famous being Bomberman, but they're also responsible for Adventure Island, Star Soldier, and even the Mario Party series up to number 8 on the Wii, which includes the best ones. Hudson Soft were simply legendary developers, and I'm sure you've played at least one of their iconic IPs. Remember the TurboGrafx-16? Of course you do, right? Well, our buddies over at Hudson Soft designed that system and provided some excellent software for it, and since it was the 90s, they had to have a mascot, and that was PC Genjin, also known as Bonk. This little platformer was a big selling point for the system, well, in Japan at least, but despite the low sales numbers of the console on a worldwide scale, that didn't mean that the games were bad. Far from it. Bonk, for instance, is an excellent 16-bit platformer, albeit a little bit on the short side. It involved our caveman hero on a mission to rescue Princess Czar from King Drool. In other words, it's as basic as a platformer plot can get. You explore the prehistoric Earth, smacking your head against dinosaurs, swimming through intestines, bouncing on plants, collecting fruit and taking down bosses. It's everything you want from a good old retro side-scroller. And despite being known as the TurboGrafx mascot, Bonk's adventure still made it to several other platforms, like the NES, Game Boy, and even the Amiga. Bonk was well received and led to sequels and spin-offs like Air Zonk and even an arcade game. But little do you average retro gamers know, 14 years later, Bonk got a remake. This is Hudson Selection Volume 3 PC Genjin, or excuse me, Pithecanthropus Computerus. Yeah, now you may be asking, what? Where are volumes 1 and 2? Well, Bonk wasn't the only Hudson Soft game to get a 6th generation remake. 3 other volumes were made, which included Cubic Lode Runner, Star Soldier, and Adventure Island. These were budget titles retailing for only about 3,000 yen, which is about £20 or $30 for our British and American viewers out there. I gotta admit, the graphics here do look cheap with the clashing of 3D models and amateurish backgrounds, but if you can look past that, you actually have a great game here. In fact, this actually plays better than the original. Bonk feels less slippery and his attacks have more weight. Bonk is satisfying to maneuver. Another thing changed is the fruit system. In the original Bonk, you can find tons of fruits and vegetables about the stage to boost your score and add a little health. Here on the GameCube, they act as a bonus collectible. If you can find one of each, you'll get yourself an extra life. Go out of your way to explore and you'll be racking up those lives in no time, and boy oh boy, will you need them. The game is much harder than the original. You only get 3 hits and they're non-replenishable. So if you want a game as a starting point for the series, don't play this one first. However, if you have mastered the original and do want something fresh, this is actually great fun. But for a newcomer, yeah, it can be frustrating. With all that said, something anyone can enjoy is the music. Hudson took those original chiptunes and made some excellent modern arrangements. The melodies sound true to the PC Engine original, but with added instruments for backup. I may have called the graphics cheap looking earlier, but I gotta admit, I do love how expressive Bonk is. He always has an exaggerated look on his face, and that's great. The game also has these comic book-esque sound effect words and symbols for walking, attacking, and of course screaming, which is a nice addition for this game at least. But the real important thing to take away from all this is that Bonk is a fondly remembered character, and this remake was in fact the last Bonk game ever released. That is if you don't count those flip phone games, I suppose. And outside of all of that guff, he hasn't been seen in 15 years, and that's a real shame. If you haven't ever played Bonk, you should. It's a seriously good time, and if you can track yourself down a copy of the original or this remake, you're in for one of those good times. And hey, $30 or 20 quid? That isn't so bad compared to most GameCube games these days, am I right? Oh, come on!